All right, Final Blessings. We're back with another video. A couple quick announcements first. If you are interested in signing up for the classes that I do offer, the way to do that is to go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page at patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N, excuse me, I-T-I. That's patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I. And join Tier 3. Tier 3 is going to give you access to the 3 private classes I give every month on Patreon for Patreon members only. And it also gives you access to participating in the group ritual we do at the end of the month. This month we will be doing a ritual with the Golden Lady of Death, the Holy Death, for financial prosperity and overall good health. All right, that's the ritual for this month. Again, when you join, it gives you access to all of the classes in the archive, even before you joined. And as I said before, in Patreon, it's not just sitting there listening to a lecture or a class. The classes also include question and answer, interaction. There's ritual work, exercises. I go a lot more in depth, and we do a lot of things as a group that obviously we don't do publicly here on YouTube. And I'll talk about certain things more in depth on Patreon than I would obviously here on YouTube or any other platform. All right, so patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I. And Tier 3 is the tier you want to join. If you're interested in a spiritual reading or a spiritual consultation, I offer various different readings: Clepothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, deity readings. Shoot me an email and I will send you the information on how to book a consultation or a reading. If you want to sign up, we are just a week out, believe it or not, from the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, which will take place starting next Thursday, 19th to the 22nd, in Hollywood, Florida. Classes, workshops, rituals, presentations, speakers, group rituals on Friday and Saturday evening, followed by a group dinner, some hanging out and some socializing. And then I finish it up Sunday with a question and answer class from noon to 4 p.m. You could attend live or virtually. Shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com, and I will get you over that information. All right. Also keep in mind, all of this new content is being uploaded to the Primordial Chaos podcast, which can be found on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the direct link to our Instagram and Facebook pages, Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, Primordial Chaos on Facebook, 2 words. The direct link to the Patreon page of Primordial Chaos. All of those links can be found in the description box of this video that you are watching right now. Okay, so the question is, somebody had brought to my attention, and sometimes I try to address some emails, is there such thing, and I'm not laughing because it's funny, it's a little bit complex, is there such thing as a atheist left-hand path practitioner? Or can you be an occultist and be an atheist? Okay. Well, first of all, you can be whatever you want to be. That's number one. Number two, this question is a little bit more, has more layers to it. It's how you perceive and what you think or perceive, or your knowledge of what an atheist is. So I would suggest, I've run into people who, to a degree, identify themselves as such. I do have my own thoughts on it, and it's my thoughts. Doesn't mean everybody has to agree with it. But let's first start with the meaning of the word atheist. That's always where you want to start with a question like this. The English word atheist, okay, has root in the Greek word theos, which also births the word we use in English, theory. Okay? So when you're saying you're an atheist, see, the wrong thing to automatically do is connect that with religion and God. See, that's the problem. So when people hear the word atheist, they immediately go, oh, so you don't believe in God. Well, most well, I won't say most, all atheists do not believe in a religious, biblical God. Absolutely not. So in that sense, we who are all on this path are atheists from the meaning of atheist from a religious perspective. No, we don't believe in the monotheistic religious God of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. We know it's all fabricated. It's mythology. But the word goes deeper than that. It's a theory. So once we've eliminated that from the religious perspective. Oh, so you're an atheist, so you don't believe in God. No, don't believe in the religious Christianity God or the Muslim God or the Judaic God, right? But let's dig deeper in the word. Even being an atheist, you still have a theory on things, whether that's creation, science, spirituality, right? The Greek word in the New Testament, for an example, to dead the religious thing, the Greek word in the New Testament that they use for God when you're reading the Gospels and the books of Paul, the Septuagint in the Greek name they use for God is Theos, which they're admitting they really can't prove the full existence of their biblical God. They have a theory. There's a theory that a God exists, which is basically faith and belief, blind faith and belief. Okay? So understand the root word of atheism, atheist, theory, and theos, because this will help you get a better understanding of the perspective. So when you're using that word or attributing to yourself, we must be clear in the understanding of how we are doing that. So from the religious context, that's one point. No, the atheist is not going to believe in a God the way a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew does. That's obvious. But an atheist still has a theory on how they perceive things based on their understanding and their knowledge. Because if they're using science, mathematics, evolution, whatever it may be, they still have to use some form of calculations and come up with a theory or a perspective which gets them to their understanding. So when you say technically overall, not limiting it to from a religious perspective, this, that, or the other, you still being an atheist, you still have a theory of how you perceive things, like we all do. And the way you should perceive things is the way when you experience them and come to the reality or confirm the truth of things. And this is why I've said many times before, is there pure, unadulterated, undiluted truth? And I made that clear. No, truth is how things are perceived. It's personal. Truths become a reality when a person confirms them for self. That's when truth is real. Just because somebody makes a statement and you agree with it doesn't necessarily make it a truth. It just means something that you agree with. Okay? So when you say you're an atheist, or you come across them, and again, I've come across people, some here and there over the years, not a large amount, but I've come across some people who identify with, I've heard them use the term, say, well, I'm, you know, how I would kind of describe myself is I'm an atheist occultist, or I'm an atheist practitioner on the left-hand path. And the next question that comes up, well, what about a person who, again, if you're coming from the religious standpoint, you're going to get confused. What about the person who says they're atheist, or how could an atheist be on the left-hand path of the occult? Do they believe demons and spirits, or do they accept the reality that demons, gods, and goddesses are real? Do they perceive it the same way we do as practitioners on this path? It's very similar, but slightly different. What do I mean by that? You shouldn't accept anything as being real or reality until you experience it. Okay, now I can only give my point and perspective from my experience on this path. I know demons are real. I know gods and goddesses are real. I can't convince anybody else of that, nor do I care two shits to. Through my work, I've uncovered my own personal experience. But the key word in that sentence is personal. So just like you, whether you're calling yourself atheist or not, you shouldn't accept anything as being a reality or true or real until you have confirmed it yourself or came to the realization of it through your experience. So I'm trying to show you how these things are intertwined and connected. Okay? So it's not a matter, can somebody labeling themselves that be on this path? It doesn't change the principles that govern. When I say govern, are guidelines to the path of self-mastery. Because it's still the greatest belief and power one can have is in themselves. Okay? And that's why it's called a path of self-mastery, people. So even if you have an experience with demons, spirits, gods, and goddesses, and there's somebody who's maybe not had that same experience, it doesn't change the process of how one navigates themselves on the path of self-mastery, because each individual's journey is different. Each individual's journey is going to have their own unique experiences. So the greatest belief, and not belief in the sense of the way a religious person has blind faith and belief in something, you have belief in yourself based on, again, the facts you have uncovered in your journey, your experiences that have validated those facts, should be the ground that you stand on as the foundational principle and rock of your spiritual path. Okay? So we have to get out of our head when we hear the word atheist. And again, it just goes to show you how deep society programming is and how deep educational society programming is. The first thing our mind runs through is religion. Okay? The first thing that our mind runs to is religion. Because we think when we hear again the word atheist, oh, that's somebody who doesn't believe in God. Not per se, no. There's more to it than that. Yes, I mean, again, the average atheist, every atheist I've run into, definitely doesn't embrace any form of monotheistic religion, 100%. Okay? That's obvious. But what I'm trying to get you to see is, don't just limit the understanding of what atheist means in regards to what we're talking about here and being on this path. Now, to shift it on another note, personally, I couldn't give two flying shits what you identify it as. Okay, so if you want to take it up a notch, here's the deep thing. To those who have brought up that question, I really couldn't care. I'm going to be honest with you. It's irrelevant to me. I mean, if you're an individual, and I'm just saying, and it affects you that much for whatever reasons, that's your business. I really couldn't care, because I'm more focused on my journey, what I got to do, in my understanding. Because again, I'm sure some of you watching the same thing. I've run into people from all walks of life identifying with many things. Okay, calling themselves this and that, and so forth and so on. You know, now for whatever reasons, and people might have their reasons for doing that. I don't know, maybe it's a way of making themselves feel comfortable or labeling themselves. I don't know, but nor do I care. Is my point. Because it's irrelevant what you identify yourself with, right? Shit is irrelevant. The main thing is you're working, you're on this path, you have a deep understanding of this path. And my thing is, if you're getting results, I don't care what you call yourself. It's your damn business. Don't care. Not interested. Don't care. Don't want to know. You figure it out. But when we look at the word again in a broader context, okay? Regardless if you're calling yourself that or not, you still have a theory of how you came to the understanding and how you perceive things. That's a fact that nobody can, disregard, regardless of what your understanding or stance is on that. So, to me, the shit is irrelevant, but I get it. But again, person that brought the question up, hopefully this gives you a better understanding. Now, people have always turned around and then they'll say, well, what are you? And I've told you guys about this before, right? How many of us over the years get that if you're having a dialogue or a conversation, or you're engaged in some type of spiritual or intellectual dialogue about spirituality and knowledge, right? We've all gotten this question, and I'm sure many times over here, well, what are you? What do you believe? Do you believe in God? Right? We get that all the time. There's that word believe again. Do you believe this, believe, do you or that, believe God did? Right, we all have gotten this question, all of us, many times. I say first and foremost, I don't believe in anything other than what I confirm to be real. That's what I believe in, which starts with myself. But see, because people that ask that question, as I've said before in the past, they need to feel comfortable. They want you to say something that puts their mind at ease so they can connect to something that they're familiar with. Oh, I'm a Buddhist, or I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm this, I practice the Hindu faith. Oh, okay. So they can feel cozy and comfortable in their mind. So they want to know, listen to the ignorance and the dumbness. Well, what are you? What do you believe? What they're really insinuating or suggesting, do you believe like I believe, when somebody asks you that question? That's what they really want to say. Trust me when I tell you. Because they usually are somebody that believes in the biblical God, for an example. And then if you go, yes, I believe in God, then all of a sudden their whole persona changes. And quote unquote in a good way, but if you flip the script and go, well, no, I don't believe in God the way you believe in God. I don't believe in God the way the Bible teaches about God, this, that, and all of a sudden they start looking at you like you're some kind of fucking monster. So know when somebody's asking you that question, do you believe in God? Well, what do you believe in? What they're essentially saying is, do you believe the way I believe? Do you accept and understand the way I understand? See, that's the reality. Okay? And that's why somebody who says they're an atheist, which I couldn't care less, that's your business, most religious people get annoyed because they get insulted and think, how dare they not believe in my God of Christianity? And then they'll have some scripture to combat it, which is pointless, because if a person says they don't believe in a religious monotheistic God of Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, using a quote from the Bible or the Quran is an invalid point, because they don't accept that shit either. Okay? So you're wasting your time. You're completely wasting your time. It makes it invalid. So if you get offended by it, then that's your business. But that's essentially what they're saying when they confront people who have those perspectives on spirituality. So you don't believe in my God the way the arrogance. You don't believe in God the way I do and the way the religion I belong to does, right? That's what. Why don't you just say it like that? Because that's what you're really essentially asking. So they get their mind. They can't wrap their mind around that, because they've been so indoctrinated to think that everything they're doing is perfect, it's right, and what their religion and their congregation is doing, that's the only right way. You shouldn't do it any other way. Shit like that. That's essentially what they're coming with. And that's why they might get offended by somebody who comes from an atheistic mindset. Okay? But I will say this in general, as I reach the end pretty much of this video. We all, in a sense, on the path of the occult, left-hand path, have an atheistic approach because it's non-conformist, right? It's not in line with mainstream religion, spirituality. It's just we have our own perspective of it. And a lot of those beliefs can be labeled atheistic in nature when we define it by the way I'm trying to break it down to you today. And then I'd say this in essence. I don't cling on to any titles. I don't give myself any titles. Okay? If somebody asks me, you know, well, what's your religion? It's my favorite. I love that. I don't have a religion. Oh, you don't believe in God? You see the programming? So you don't believe in God? Oh, so I need a religion and I got to believe in your God? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? See, all that is insecurities, ignorance, and fears. Right? They can't phantom the fact you don't believe like they do. And I just simply tell them, no, I'm on a path of self-mastery. You believe in a higher power? You see, now they want to probe step by step to get you to make them feel comfortable to say that you believe the way they believe. And they say, no, you know, I believe in myself. So how did you get here? Let me stop. I can go on and on. Just go to show you how the layers of ignorance keep going. Because it's hard for any individual to accept the divine that resides within. It's hard because they've been programmed so fucking long. There's no way possible it could just start with you and end with you. It has to end somewhere out there in the sky in the clouds. That's how deep the fucking programming is, right? There's no way it can just be about me. I can't be, no. And that's why I don't attribute any titles to myself. I stay out of that. Okay, I'm on a path to self-mastery that encompasses a lot of different things, a lot of different concepts, and a lot of different aspects of those things. That's the best way I could describe it. And I'm sorry if that doesn't make you feel comfortable. Oh, well. But I'm not here to make you feel comfortable. Okay? That's just how that works. And that's the best way I can tell you. All right? So anyway, don't get caught up in that. Hopefully this tutorial sheds a little more light/intellect on the subject. And we're going to leave that there. All right? If you need to reach out to me, khnum19@gmail.com. That's how you get at me to get information on how to book a spiritual reading or a consultation. Or if you want information to sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, shoot me an email and I'll get that information over to you. Don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Check us out on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 9. One word. Facebook, Primordial Chaos, 2 words. And again, if you want to sign up for the classes that I do offer, the way to do that is to go to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the tier you want to join, and that will give you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon for Patreon members only. All right, so the direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media page, the links for the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes, all of those links are in the description box of this video that you are watching right here. All right? It's going to wrap it up for me. Infernal blessings, and we'll talk soon.